My name's Keith Rucker. Tonight I got a little machine shop talk episode that I wanted to do with you guys, just to kind of show you a couple of things that has been going on over the past few weeks, as far as some things that have come in, some new tools and toys that I've acquired, just while I haven't really been doing a lot of videos. As I have told y'all in my previous videos, I had about a 3-week period where I was just on the road an awful lot, traveling. Mostly with my job. Man, I've been all over the place. Been all over the southeastern United States. Spent a week in Germany, which was really an awesome trip. Thoroughly enjoyed the opportunity to go over there and see Germany, and hope I get to do that again one day. But during this time, I have had some things come in, and again, I just want to share some of the things. Some viewer mails come in. I've also picked up some tools along the way while I was traveling and on the road. So let's just kind of go through here and give you a quick, just a quick peek at some of the stuff that I got. So first thing I want to share with you, oh goodness, it's been probably 3 weeks ago now. I was traveling with my job. I cover a pretty big territory in the southeast, and I was actually up in North Alabama, up kind of near the Huntsville area. And there's a place up there that anytime I'm in the area, I try to stop in. It's a place called Mike's Merchandise, and basically what they do is they buy all kinds of surplus stuff and sell it and get some pretty good deals in there. And just never know what you're going to walk into when you go in there. And they typically have a few tools or what have you. So when I was up there this past time, I stopped in and checked out some things, and here are a few things I picked up. First off was a couple of files. So this first one here, this is a Nicholson body file. So you kind of see it's got a little bit of an art to it here, and it's got a fairly fine file surface, a double cut on the bottom side. It's made to put a handle, and this is for kind of doing body work. But you know, it would be fine for doing some metal work as well. Anyway, that was there, brand spanking new old stock, made in USA Nicholson file, and also another again made in USA Nicholson. This is a what they say, superior flat standard. Just kind of, it has a real coarse kind of a circular pattern in here. I've actually had a couple of these files before. These files are great for doing really rough work. I like them on wood. You can use this on some soft metal. Babbitt, this would probably work real good for making some very fast cutting work. So again, brand spanking new old stock, made in USA Nicholson file here. So I got those, picked up those two. And the other thing I got was I got 5 different Morse taper shank drill bits. So most of these are number 3 Morse tapers. This largest one here, this oddball size is 1 inch and 7/32. This one here, it's a little bit rough. It needs to be sharpened, but you know, it's a good large size drill bit. And I think I had mentioned before, I've been kind of looking for some of this Morse taper tooling to use in the metal lathe out at the museum. Particularly, I've been looking for some of the larger size stuff, just when I'm boring a hole or what have you. The biggest drill bit that I have right now is a 1 inch, and this is short. It's real short, just regular shank. So if I'm just punching a hole in a piece of metal, I'm going to use a boring bar to do it, to finish cleaning it out. I've been looking for some of these larger size Morse taper drill bits. So anyway, that was one there. This was probably, as far as condition, the worst of the bunch of them. Some of these I think are actually new old stock. This one here, this is, I'm pretty sure, a brand spanking new drill bit. Again, an oddball size, 53/64. But again, my main concern is just punching a hole. I'm not really worried about a particular size. That's a number 3 Morse taper. Here's another one. This one here is a little bit larger, 31/32. So this is just a touch under 1 inch. Number 3 Morse taper, again, I mean, this thing looks brand new. I think this one is new old stock. Here's another one, 5164. So this one here I think is a little bit older one. It looks like it has a little bit of use, but it's actually been sharpened. It's got a really nice sharp surface on there. It's ready to go. And then a little bit smaller one here. This one is a number 2 Morse taper, and it says 0.6090. So this doesn't look like a fractional size. Again, this one I think has actually been used before, but it's been sharpened. It's got a great edge on it, ready to go. So anyway, excuse me again. I got the 5 drill bits. Some pretty good sized drill bits, and the 2 Nicholson files, and it wasn't a really great price, but I thought it was a very fair price. Paid $75 for all this, and I was pretty happy with it to get some larger size Morse taper drill bits. So let me set these out of the way. So next thing I got a little viewer appreciation box in the mail. While I was in Germany, actually. So when I got back from Germany, there was a box sitting at home. A viewer had contacted me a while back, said he had some stuff he wanted to send me. He wanted to get my mailing address, which I was glad to give to him. And ironically, it kind of goes right along with this whole Morse taper. This is going to be Morse taper night, I think. So gentleman's name is Guy Lopes. Guy is out in California, I think in the Sacramento area, if I remember right. I don't have it written down here in front of me. I don't think it's right in Sacramento, but in that area. That may not be exactly correct, but it's somewhere in that general vicinity of California. But Guy heard me mention, again, I was looking for some Morse taper stuff, and he was evidently had a bunch of stuff laying around his shop that he didn't really need. Most of this is number 4, which is actually the size that fits my lathe exactly. So this right here is a number 1 to number 4 Morse taper adapter. So let's see. Here's one of the number 1 Morse taper drill bits that I got a couple of weeks ago from one of my viewers that sent me, and you can see that fits right in there. So this is going to be perfect for being able to adapt to use, because he sent me a bunch of these number 1 size Morse tapers. So with this adapter, now I'm ready to go right into my lathe. So that's perfect. So I got that adapter. Let's see. Also he sent me 2 number 3 to number 4 adapters, which is kind of ironic because I had written down that I needed to try to get this size. I've got those number 3 tooling there, and again I got number 4 on my lathe. And I've got some other number 3 stuff that I'm needing some adapters for. And I had written that down before a guy sent this to me, and lo and behold, he sent 2 of them to me. So that's going to be perfect. Those are going to be great. And he also sent me this number 2 to number 3. So we can stack that. That goes in there. So now I got a number 2 to number 4. And let's see. Here's one of the number 2 Morse taper drill bits. So I can go from a 2 to a 4. So now basically on my lathe with the adapters, I can use number 1, 2, 3, or 4 Morse taper stuff without any problems at all. So I got the 4 adapters there that Guy sent me. Guy also sent me a couple of number 4 dead centers. These are both in pretty good shape. They look like they don't look worn. Anyway, yeah, these both look great. So I'm sure I'll have a use for these somewhere along the way. I've got several of these dead centers, but I don't know that I've actually got a number 4. It seems like I've got a number 3 or no, I think I got a number 2. And I've got a number 2 to number 4 adapter already, and I've actually used that one before, but now I've got a couple of number 4s ready to go here. Let's see, he also sent me this, catch that before it goes, big number 4 Morse taper drill bit. Really nice looking. It looks like it actually has a pretty good sharp edge on it. Let's see, what size is this? This is 1.25 inches, so that's going to be a really handy size. So again, if I'm just needing to punch a big hole in a piece of metal for boring out a hole, this is going to be a huge time saver right here. This is a really nice addition. Got a little bit of rust down here. I should be able to clean that up without any problem at all, and this one will go. And guy also said, this is interesting here. This is a number 4 Morse taper, a little bit rusty, but nonetheless, this is a counterbore. So I actually used one about the same size. Let's see if it says what size this is. The one that I just bought recently off of eBay was 1 3/8. Don't have a set of calipers out here. Anyway, you know, that's going to be at least 1.25 inches, 1 3/8, 1 7/16. There it is. So 1 7/16 counter bore, and again, you can put a pilot in here for boring out something. So that right there will probably come in handy one day on the metal lathe. Actually, that 1 3/8 that I just bought, I'm going to use in the metal lathe. And I've actually got an adapter to be able to mount it in there that I got also. So anyway, this is interesting. And these two, these are really interesting. He sent me a pair of these. These are number 4 Morse tapers. At least I'm pretty sure that's a number 4 Morse taper. Looks like it. And these are milling cutters. So these looks like they went into a milling machine, and high-speed steel milling cutters. It says number 9 and number 10 RC or RE. I can't quite read that on there. Both of these are the same. So anyway, these, I'm not sure what these would have gone to. I don't think you would have used these in a lathe tail stock. I think these would have gone on a milling machine. But you know, I think this is something that I could very easily use on my horizontal mill. I'll need to get an adapter to go from my 50 taper that's on my big horizontal mill to be able to hold these cutters. But these actually look like they're in great shape. They look like they're sharp. So we'll find an opportunity to put these to use at some point in time. Very nice cutters, a pair of these. So anyway, that's what Guy sent me. Thank you, Guy. This is awesome. This is really great. So I'm excited about this. This is all tooling that I will be able to use in my shop. Thank you. All right, then one more piece of viewer appreciation mail that came in, and I actually got an email from James McKellargy up in New York City, I believe, Brooklyn, New York. Back a couple of weeks ago, he said he had something he wanted to send me, so got this nice package in the mail from him, and he had told me what it was. So and I've already opened this up and looked at it, but let me open this up. This is really neat. So James enjoys going into some antique bookstores up there in his area, and he collects these old plates out of books that show anything that's kind of I guess mechanical in nature. So illustrations out of books. Let's see. Alright, so he says here that there's a bookstore there in New York City that has used and collectible books. They sell book plates and other illustrations. And he says that he's taken to collecting a couple here and there, specifically illustrations that show the industrial arts at the time when it was in growth. And so he saw this one, or had this one in his collection, and as you can see, this is a very striking resemblance to the planer matcher that I'm working on restoring. So this is not a J.A. Vance like mine, but the design is very similar. So I'll get a close-up of this to show you guys so you can take a good look at it. I'll overimpose that on the video, but you can see it looks very similar. Now, he said that this one is from an 1882 book titled Our Country's Wealth and Influence. And this is specifically showing what is titled a Woodworth planing machine. And this is interesting. This is real interesting because, I'm very interested in the history of old machinery. And when I saw a Woodworth planing machine, I immediately, knew exactly what the Woodworth planing machine is, because there is a really interesting history related to this. So, William Woodworth was an inventor, and back in 1828, he actually patented this type of planing machine, which was basically a four-sided planer for mostly doing any kind of dimensional lumber, but tongue and groove flooring specifically was one of the big things it was used for, just like the planer matcher that I'm working on restoring right now. So back in 1828, as you can imagine, this was pretty high tech compared to the manual labor way of doing things. In fact, I've got a little bit of history here that I got off of my Vintage Machinery site, which I had read before, and I refreshed myself. But it's interesting because from the standpoint of patent law in the United States, was greatly influenced by this Woodworth planing machine. So they got this patent very early on. It was such a huge time saver. Let's see. It says that, in a typical day, a worker in the time could make about 200 foot. So a worker using a hand plane, doing stuff manually. Now I can't imagine even doing 200 feet, board feet a day. I mean, that's a tremendous amount of work. But I guess back in the day, people were used to doing that. So you would get about 200 feet, board feet of planing in a day's worth of work. Whereas this machine was able to do tens of thousands of board feet in the same day. So you can imagine it was a huge innovation. And people were, and particularly lumber mills and stuff, they really wanted this. But because it was patented, basically they licensed out this patent to a lot of different manufacturers. In fact, I don't know that Woodworth ever actually manufactured this machine. They just owned the rights to it, and they would license that with some of the machinery manufacturers of the day. And but the kicker was that anybody that bought one of these machines had to pay a royalty to the patent owners for using it. And let's see. I'm trying to see because it told in here how much they okay, here we go. So the operators were required to charge exactly $7 per 1,000 linear feet. So the patent, when you bought this machine, it pretty much told you had to charge $7 per 1,000 linear feet. This is back in the early, in the 1830s, really. $7 per 1,000 linear feet, and then you had to give $3 of that as a licensing fee to the patent owner, to the syndicate that owned this patent. So as you can imagine, in the 1830s, 40s, 50s, that's huge money. This thing was turning out 10,000 board feet a day. Let's just say 10,000 board feet a day. You're getting $3 per 1,000 board feet. So you do the math. I mean, that's a pretty hefty sum of money back then off of each and every one of these machines that was being produced. It was worth millions of dollars in 1830s dollars. That's like probably hundreds of millions of dollars in today's money. So this was a huge patent. But what was interesting was back in those days, I think a patent life, when you got a patent, I think it was 14 years. Now I think it's 17 years, but back then it was 14 years. But you could renew the patent usually for one time. That would give you another term. But what was interesting about this patent was that it was so lucrative that the owners, that even though they got to a certain point and they really weren't eligible to get the patent extended again, but they actually bribed members of Congress to extend the patent anyway. because they were making so much money on it. So they gave kickbacks to politicians. So this is something that's been going on for years, guys. It's not something new as far as politicians getting rich off of other people. But again, this was actually became one of the reasons when they overhauled the whole patent system in the U.S. And a lot of the patent law that we had today, was at least partially because of this patent right here for this particular machine. So, and this machine was marketed, even no matter what company you bought it from, it was marketed as a Woodworth Planer. So very interesting. And by the time the advanced planer matcher that I'm working on was made, probably in the early 1900s. Of course, the patent had expired by then, and they didn't have to badge this as a Woodworth planer anymore. But what is also interesting is that this design of machine was used for over 100 years, and even though the machines now in today's day don't look exactly like this anymore, they still are based heavily on this design that was patented back in the 1820s. So bottom line, this is just a really cool piece of history. So James, I really appreciate you sending this to me. I'm going to probably get this matted and framed and hang it up in my office because it is just really something cool. And anyway, I wanted to share with you guys a little bit of the history behind it in case you didn't know all that. And I don't know that James knew all the history on this. So, but anyway, this is a really cool plate that you sent me, original from the 1880s. So I really appreciate that. And like I said, I'm going to get this framed and hang it in my office. So thank you very much. So that's pretty much what I've got that's been going on here the past couple of weeks. The little new toys that have come in. Again, I've been on the road so much, I haven't had a lot of time to do much of anything shop related in the past few weeks. I am back home again, at least for a couple of weeks. I got a little bit more traveling to do in April, but nothing like what I've been doing. So I've got a couple of trips I got to make, but both of them are pretty short, and I'll be back home. So hopefully I'm going to be able to have a little more time. Every year from about January to the end of March is just really bad time for me with going to a lot of professional meetings related to my job, a lot of internal meetings in our company. It's kind of our downtime of the year as far as our main work that we're doing. So it's meeting time, and thank goodness I've about got that behind me because it has really worn on me the past few weeks with all the traveling I've been doing. And believe me too, I'm ready to get, number one, back home and with my family and not spending so many nights in a hotel room and not spending so many hours sitting on an airplane, but also so that I can have some more time in the evenings and on weekends to spend out in the shop and doing some things that I want to. So on the tail end of this video, I'm going to also throw in some video from our sawmill project. So if you saw my video that I did yesterday on the steam whistle, where we worked on that, I showed you some video of us boiling the boiler out, getting it ready. So today, I was at the museum almost all day long, and we actually fired the boiler up, put it under steam pressure, got our steam engine running, our 25 horsepower Atlas steam engine made in the 1890s, I think, 1880s or 1890s, I can't remember the exact year. We got the history on that engine. But anyway, we got all that running. Everything worked great. When we got the steam on everything, a lot of times when you get these boilers going for the first time, you may have steam leaks here or there where your pipe fitting wasn't exactly right. We didn't have any of that. Everything just went without a hitch. I think we had one union in one steam pipe that just had to be tightened, but it wasn't even really one of the pipe fittings that can be aggravating when that happens. So everything worked great. We put steam up on the boiler this morning. Went right up to 150 pounds, no problems. We got the engine running and basically just turned it on. Did a little bit of maintenance getting it prepped up beforehand, but the engine ran flawlessly. We had a couple little problems with the sawmill itself, but nothing terrible. It was mostly just having to tighten some belts up. Of course, it's all flat belt driven, and the belts have been sitting for 5 years, and things were just kind of loose. So we had to take some links out and relace some belts and do some stuff like that. Had to do some work on the blade on the sawmill, put new teeth in it. The ones that were on there were just really dull, so we popped new teeth into the actual saw. Had to do a little bit of work in the lining of the blade and some other things like that. But when I left out there this afternoon, we had actually taken a log, we had squared it up, and we had sawed lumber. And again, it was with a lot of adjustments and a lot of just tinkering, as you can imagine, not being running so long. But anyway, I shot some video out there this afternoon, so I'm going to tack that on to the end of this video where you can see the boiler under pressure, see the engine running, and get a little bit of shot of us playing around with the sawmill. So that's all I got for today. We'll let y'all watch that at the end. Again, I want to thank all my subscribers and everybody that watches my videos. Last week, I guess, or when I was in Germany, we actually went over the 6,000 threshold on subscribers. So you know, now I'm kind of shooting for that 10,000 mark. It's going to take me a couple of months to get there, I think, but you know, we're regularly adding new subscribers every week, and I really appreciate you guys being there. I really appreciate your comments again, and I've been so busy the last few weeks, I really haven't had a lot of time to sit down and do the comments like I like. But I promise you again, I read every single one of them. When I get busy, they may pile up for 2 or 3 days before I get a chance to get in there and do that. But I read every one of them, and I really appreciate all your comments that you're sending in, and I appreciate everybody that's subscribing. So I'm going to shut up now, and we'll put the video on the end showing you guys the boiler, the steam engine, the sawmill. Thank you. All right, we've got the boiler running. See, right now we're about 135 pounds of steam. Everything's fired up. Open the door there, Brock. And we got the engine running over here. This is a 25 horsepower Atlas Engine Works steam engine, running at about 250 RPMs. We checked it with a speed indicator a little bit a while ago, and actually it's running at 253 RPMs at idle. And the belt on the right is powering the actual saw blade, and the belt on the left goes up to a line shaft. And this isn't actually hooked up right now, but there's a swing saw over here, cut-off saw that we use for cutting our slabs to length. So the board's coming off the sawmill. So the engine's running. Everything seems to be going good. We've been playing around with it today.